As construction season ramps up across the metro, sidewalks are a concern in some areas. The work crews need extra space and sidewalks can be blocked.
6 News' Bella Caracta is looking into how concerned citizens and the city are making sure everyone can safely use the limited available areas.
Walking along this sidewalk in Blackstone with no sign telling me something's ahead, until I get to this construction site.
On the street here, sometimes what you find is that folks might just try to walk along the side of the marked pedestrian route.
Or they jaywalk.
Which creates really unsafe situations. It can lead to crashes, other injuries. So for that reasons, we want to keep everybody safe, make sure that everybody has a way to get around, not just folks in cars, which is why we're really trying to advocate for this.
And some signs like this at 72nd and Dodge don't offer much help. From a minor inconvenience to a dangerous encounter, these are problems Mode Shift Omaha hopes to raise awareness of. But sometimes construction obstructions are inevitable. The city's official policy for this was signed in 2020. Austin Rouser, the city's street maintenance engineer, told 6 News what happens if there is a violation of the sidewalk closure policy. Quote, if it's a city contractor or crew, we correct the issue as soon as possible. For non-city contractors and agencies, permits can be held from chronic violators of the policy.
Public Works has been really great, especially lately, responding to photos that we send, issues where pedestrian areas are not well marked or signage is blocking the pedestrian route. But really what we're looking for is construction companies to be held accountable, given education ahead of time, so that this doesn't happen in the first place.
On your side, in Omaha, Bella Caracta, 6 News.
The city traffic engineer Jeff Rieselman told us that if you have an issue with the sidewalk closure and accessibility, you can alert Public Works or use the mayor's hotline.